What up, photography gang? In this video, we're talking about the Leica C-lux 1. So the boring stuff, this is a 6 megapixel, 7mm diagonal sensor. It is a zoom lens and it ranges from 28mm all the way to 102mm, 35mm equivalent because it's a smaller sensor. The Lumix version of this camera is known as the FX01, so DMC-FX01. He don't know a damn thing, yo. Whoa, 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 wise man shows. Keep on moving, just let it flow. Here in the hustle, find my beat. Self-driven, yet no defeat. Lose on the wind, I'm flying high. Let me just grab it. I feel like it's easier to talk about. To get the majority of the sensor, you have to shoot at 4/3, and it gives you the full 6 megapixels. If you shoot 2x3, it gets you 5 megapixels, and if you shoot 16x9, it gives you 4.5 megapixels. But to get full use, again, is the 4/3 ratio, and you get the 6 megapixels. He don't know a damn thing, yo. Whoa, 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 wise man shows. Keep on moving, just let it flow. La la, we're feeling free. All we need is energy. La la la, we rise and shine. On our own, we take our time. Whoa, 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 wise man knows. He don't know a damn thing, yo. Whoa, 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 wise man shows. Keep on moving, just let it flow. Whoa, 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 wise man knows. He don't know a damn thing, yo. Whoa, 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 wise man shows. Keep on moving, just let it flow. Yeah, I'm not even in the game. Keep on moving, just let it flow. You're in the hustle, find my beat.
You told me Steph Curry with the shot, man.
This is a very pocketable camera. So it's even smaller in size than the average gift card or credit card, but it's way thicker. It is about, I'd say, a wallet size thick. Many cards. Just for comparison, you can see here, this is the C-lux 1. Very thin, retractable lens, goes all the way back in. Unlike the Leica Deluxe 3, which the lens kind of stays out the whole time. If you turn it off, this is the thinnest this camera can get with the cap on. And then if I turn this off, this is truly thin, fits in the front pocket. It's so pocketable that I normally keep it in my front pocket along with my front pocket wallet, and it doesn't even bother me. I a lot of times forget about it. So it makes it very easy for me to have on hand with me a lot of the time. The C-Lux one only being 6 megapixels. I'm sure if you printed out some 4x6s, they'd be fine. But once you get to 5x7 and 8x10, you may be seeing some noticeable lack of quality or in detail. I can notice that when I zoom in with my iPad and I zoom in on the computer, that the quality kind of loses it if you do any crop. But this is more than useful and good enough to share photos online. I'm sure when I send the photos to my friends and family, they don't even notice. They don't even think about zooming in. They just enjoy the photo for what it is, and they either share it or keep it, save it, download it, whatever they need, not putting it on any billboard or anything. Following up with it being 6 megapixels and only being JPEG is a little edit in Lightroom goes a long way. So being very limited with the amount of editing that you can do in Lightroom makes it kind of fun and just simple enough where you don't get too lost in the edit. You make some tweaks, fix a little bit of saturation, white balance, sharpness, maybe even contrast, and then you move on to the next edit instead of getting stuck hours trying to fix some raw photos. There is just enough wiggle room to make these photos a little bit more interesting and fun, but for the most part, that's not why you shoot with this camera.
Toma mucho de flash. Give me Spider-Man, give me Spider-Man.
You say psh. The Leica C-Lux 1 definitely thrives in the daytime. I shot with the exposure compensation dial at minus 2/3 of a stop to avoid any strong highlights. It's way harder to save a highlight once it's washed out, especially on these low megapixel smaller sensors. That being said, the C-Lux 1 thrives in the daytime, but at nighttime, it's kind of more of like a snapshot camera, not anything long exposure. It's more for flash photography that is within 1 meter to 5 meters from you, but definitely still very snapshotty, disposable camera type vibe. Isaiah, who is it? It's me? Oh my god. Wait, take a picture of mommy and daddy first.
Press the button. Tell me what button to press.
The Leica C-Lux 1 is inconsistent, meaning you will not get a perfect shot every time. Even photos that I take back to back will have completely different exposure outcomes and even a little bit even with the colors. There will also be random times that there are digital lines through the sensor or in the final capture that you have. I'd say it happens about 1 out of 30 of the times that I shot. So 1 out of 30 photos has random lines. It's kind of unpredictable. It just kind of happens, but it's not a big deal. I feel like you can just retake the photo. When you take a photo, obviously you see it in the 2-second preview. If you see lines, just retake it just in case. But oftentimes I'm actually very okay with the lines. It actually adds a little bit of more uniqueness and it makes the photo look a little bit more interesting if the photo alone wasn't enough. It almost reminds me of film with the possibilities of things going wrong and the photo not coming out or glares or random burning. So I actually think it's more of a fun element to have a little bit of some photos sometimes have little quirky things. It's a little bit less predictable than digital cameras, but still a little bit more consistent than film. I don't know if consistent's the correct word, but yeah. So the Leica C-lux 1 is a very easy and fun camera to use. Even when visiting my brother and his family, they had a blast shooting around, just pointing and shooting. My niece even got carried away, ended up running around her house and just taking random photos of stuff that she likes, which is awesome. I love looking back at those photos and even editing them a little bit just to add to this vlog as well. So this camera can definitely be any photographer, amateur or pro photographer's everyday camera just for fun, or you can add it to your camera kit. So this is supposed to go with the other thing. So this 6 megapixel compact camera sells on eBay for $150 to about $300. I ended up buying it randomly. It was at my local camera shop, and I saw it for $150 and ended up buying it, and I was actually pretty happy. The Lumix version of this camera is FX01, and that one sells for around 80 to 180 on eBay. So if you want to save yourself a couple bucks, you can get that version. This camera is definitely a lot of fun. It's worth it if you're looking for something to just have on you at all times and replace your iPhone. This camera is so pocketable and fun and inspiring that I've already shot way more photos on this than I have with my Sony ZV-E10, and I've had that for about 6 months. I thought that camera would be fun to shoot around with and have with me, but me randomly seeing this 150 Leica C-lux 1 is what got me pumped and excited again. Kind of just like the Lumix LX100, running into these local camera shops, thrift stores, and getting inspired by these deals. What I also love about this camera is that the 6 megapixel camera is beating my expectation, giving me way better photos than I expect from it, way more usable than I thought they would be, way more edible and pleasing to look at in Lightroom and edit. Just add a little bit of my own creativity to it, and then I can post and share and then just kind of keep forever. I keep thinking there's going to be way more throwaway shots than there are keepers, and it's quite the opposite. I'm actually pleased with about 90% of the photos, which is very similar to film. There's a lot of freedom with shooting this 6 megapixel camera on even just a 2 gigabyte chip, which I think I ended up with like a total of 115 photos during this month and a half of me shooting. I 100% recommend this camera if anyone is even interested in something like this. A low megapixel camera that you can just carry with you everywhere and just note take and kind of have fun with. It's a great everyday camera. It's a good travel camera. It can replace your iPhone as a note taker or for documenting life. I definitely appreciate photos on these cameras more than the photos on my iPhone. I don't know why. It just feels a little bit more rewarding to capture a moment on these things versus your iPhone, which are so easy, and I don't know. I'm gonna look at the photos real quick and see if there's any like standout top photos. I haven't done top photos in a while. You know what? I'm just gonna put my top favorite photos here. Look at them. You're seeing these right now because these are my top photos. A lot of them are just family moments. Some are random city shots, but these are my top photos. But it's really easy for me to pick moments that I capture with my friends and family. So gang gang. Also one of my dog here too. Gang gang. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. This was your boy D with another video. If you like what you see, hit that like button. If you have any questions, comments, comment down below. Any suggestions as well, comment down below. And as always, guys, let me grab this camera. Always forget somehow. And as always, guys, happy shooting. Gang, gang.